Hello, welcome to our little Fallouty corner of the internet. Welcome back. Love to see so many new people in chat. I know you're new because chat tells me. I have a terrible memory for names. I wouldn't know otherwise. This is. We'll go into what this is in detail, but as you can see from the thing in the top left, Fallout factions news and updates. Number one. Boop, 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 boop. I'm Steve. Hello. I do video stuff here at Modifius and not really involved with factions in any other way other than that. But I'm joined by three fantastic people who know it like the back of their hand. And if they don't, this is going to be a very fun stream. So I'll get them to introduce themselves and say who they are and what they do and why they are factioning here tonight. And I shall start with, to my side, Jamie.
Hello, I'm Jamie. I'm the project manager for Fallout Factions and Wasteland Warfare. I'm the one that keeps the plates spinning and getting it done on time.
Exactly. On the below side, new face to the stream, Evie. Hello, Evie.
Hello, I'm Evie Moriarty. I am one of the in-house game designers at Modifius, and I am the current lead designer on Fallout Factions.
And last but by no means least, the final slot in our bizarre family fortunes like wall of faces. It's not family fortunes, is it? What am I thinking of? The Brady Bunch. I don't know. Sorry. Samantha. Sorry about that.
I'm Samantha. I'm head of brand at Modifius. You may have seen me around before. I've been in the company quite a while. I look after everything branding and marketing.
Exactly. So this is our cast tonight, our faction, if you will. So if you've seen some of our reveal streams that we do for minis, for Fallout miniatures, this is kind of, on the one hand, very much like that, and also not at all like that. So we are going to be talking primarily about, almost exclusively in fact, about Fallout factions, about news and updates and rules changes and things like that, because we love all our Fallout children equally, but Fallout factions is the new one, so we want to get it properly out of the door. We're going to give you some announcements about things you can expect to see, about how the game is changing already, and why we're going to make some little changes on certain things, as well as just summarize some stuff that you might know, you might have missed, is out there. Just important things. We tried for a long time to come up with a very snappy title that summed that all up, and we arrived at news and updates because everything else just got a little bit confusing and pretentious. But yeah, so this should be your one-stop shop. We'll do these as often as we do the miniatures reveal streams, I think. It'll just be a way for us to check in and for you to also get a chance to ask us questions if you want to. No pressure if you don't, but if you don't ask, you don't get an answer. So, we'll start. I know, sorry, I just said before we start off, I told a very bad joke that made everyone look at me in a way as if to say, should we be streaming right now? It's been one of those days, but we'll be fine. We're going to start off with a change. Faction lists. So, faction lists, as we know, if I can find the button to push, come in currently 3 varieties. So there's official, get you by, and competitive. And as you may notice here, it says these are the old list types because, like I said, we're changing some stuff, and this is one of the things we are changing. Before I say what we're going to change them to, Jamie, Evie, do you want to say anything about what we discovered from these old lists and why we're going to change them, or?
Yeah, I can jump in first. So, from sort of my sort of stance as a project manager and player is, it's how you identify what is competitive and the sort of, we've got digital rules, we've got a rulebook, we've got PDF, we've got to get you by. It's kind of suddenly sprawling into multiple different names, and as we're early into the life cycle of the game, grabbing it now and defining it so that we know, streamlining it, making it more sensible now before it gets out of control. kind of thing was my sort of stance with the project manager when Evie came up with the idea. I'm going to point at Evie and say it was all Evie's. They brought it up to me, and I was like, that makes much more sense than having 4 different things.
Jamie, can you? Nucleum asks if you could turn your volume up a little bit. Is that possible?
Doing this again.
Or you could just NPR that microphone and get a nice little.
It's right here.
Close.
I moved it after the last stream.
You're just gonna have to get right in there. So what I'll say is, unless you have anything to add to that, Evie.
Well, I was just going to say more that these old list types are very much driven by the needs of the game in its first state when launched, particularly the get you buy lists. Obviously, we wanted to make sure that people could play the iconic Fallout factions in Fallout Factions.
Yep.
And this was a really good way to do that in the early days. But we're now, as the rest of the stream will unfold, approaching a point where they're not required anymore.
Yeah.
And so this needed to shift slightly.
So if you wanted a little refresher... Oh, sorry. I apologise.
No, I was just saying, as I think we're about to get onto.
Yeah. So if you wanted a refresher, I think it was official was basically a list with all the bells and whistles. Get you by was enough to, unsurprisingly by the name, get you by. And competitive was the bare minimum, just the stats. But now, what we're going to currently, we move to just 2 list types. Get you by is a thing of the past. We now have 2 types. We have competitive and casual lists. Now, the difference with these is basically competitive. These are going to be lists that use that can be used in official Modiphius tournaments, that use our official tournament pack, and casual, handily defined as everything else. So it's a lot more streamlined. Obviously, this implies it's tying very much into our tournament pack, so maybe it's wise we talk about that a little bit. Whoever wants to give that a go.
I can jump in here.
Sure.
So one of the things that's going to be coming up in the next couple of months is the launch of our official tournament kit, which is it's a really comprehensive guide, not just on how we see tournaments working, but also how to run tournaments. And so it's designed to be a helpful tool for people who want to run tournaments in their local stores and with local groups. But what it does is it gives you a large selection of new scenarios to play with that are all symmetrical scenarios tested for competitive balance. And it allows you to create lists more flexibly. There is some limited point buy elements in there, so you can choose additional perks, weapon upgrades, and so on and so forth into your tournament crew. And it also outlines which crews and which models, through other methods that can join your crew, will be competitive going forwards. And these are the competitive crews. And the real distinction is that we obviously put a lot of effort into making sure that all of the crews are interesting to play and compelling on the tabletop and flavorful for the source material. But competitive lists, we go a step further. We work hard to make sure they're as balanced as possible against other lists, and we really rigorously test them. And the key thing is that we're going to continue to rigorously test those lists in the studio ongoing. So we have put dedicated time aside to ensure that these crews, the ones that we identify as competitive, will continue to gain attention, continue to be looked at, and will have balances to adjust their play as time goes on, as we see the outcome of tournaments, as we see the outcome of the play that people engage in.
I mean, do you as developing this, do you see the bulk of people playing as casual effectively, or as or it almost not mattering? Is it just for when it does matter, these are the definitions really? How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, from my stance is that all the crews that we create should be fun to play, and I think they are. And we'd hope that everyone in their home games and in their local campaigns continues to play with all the lists, casual or competitive. But we recognise that Factions is a game that people are going to want to play competitively in a tournament setting, and there is a certain level of rigor that is required that is not necessarily required in your home games. Competitive games are played to a clock. They are played in a kind of more focused way, and that means we really have to make sure that those crews can thrive in that environment. But for most of the time, if you're not playing in a tournament, you should be empowered to use whatever crew you want that we publish.
Yeah, that sounds cool. That sounds great. Jamie, Sam, do you want to add anything to that, or that covers that fairly? It's almost like this is Evie's day job. They've got this knocked out of the park. So there we go. That's kind of like the first big kind of announcement, and it's like it's quite small, yet at the same time, very impactful. And like Jamie said, this is the time for us to do this while we're in the start of the game, because working these things out later and being like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have stuck with that, you can make a rod for your own back. Speaking of the road ahead, we'll get into this in a little bit more detail, but given that we've defined what kind of things you can expect from a faction or a crew list, I should say, to give it its proper term, or a crew, what kind of things are we actually going to be putting out there? Pretty simple breakdown. You'll be getting access to these crew lists in 3 ways. They'll either appear in starter sets, like you've seen already for the Battle for Nuka World starter set. Physical books. Don't worry, physical books will also be available digitally, like, we are in 2024. We understand that's how it works. But
are we, Steve? In 2024?
Well caught. My deliberate trick. No, we're not in 2024. Yeah. Oh, look, Callum Paints shows up just to correct me. Get back to work, Callum. I wish I was still in 2024. It's been a year so far. And PDFs. There's a question just went past from somebody called War Games News Radio, who I particularly enjoyed watching their painting stream the other week, where they said how much they enjoyed our painting streams hosted by Callum and what's the other guy's name? I can't remember. I was like, thanks, mate. Love you, Ryan. Ryan asked, just some other chuckle. Ryan says, are Get You By lists just considered casual now? So that's actually quite an interesting question. Who wants to answer that one?
I'll jump in and then I'll let Evie take over after, kind of thing. So as we move to the new rulebook that's coming out later this year, the Get You By list for those 4 factions will be removed, and it will be fully supporting the crews based out of the rulebook itself. Although Gunners will stick around for a little bit until a following book that we're planning, we'll cover them in there. In a folio book to sort of tidy them up, so they're not just a single Get You By list floating around on the internet. So they're more in a physical book.
Yeah, and
is that?
That makes sense to me. And it's like, as well as like as we were developing it, I think it became quite obvious quite quickly that Get You Bys sat in a kind of a little middle ground, actually, where it's like there was actually, to make them more than they were already wouldn't actually take as much as we thought it would. So it'd be like kind of like there was value to be added there. As requested for Oliver, hello Amelia, this is live. How you doing? Hi, welcome. But there we go. So yeah, that's a nice simple one there. Releases so far. Now this sounds like it's going to be a one of those things where you're like, hang on, are we just going to do a list? There is a reason for this. We won't dwell on it. So if you want to do screenshots, get your screenshotting finger ready. Currently, the way things break down is competitive crews. So this is going to be a list of all the crews which are competitive, and a list of all the stuff which is casual. So if you're playing the pack and use the core sets for the operators, the disciples, Hollywood Heroes, Bottle and Cappy, all fizzed up, those are competitive minis, and you can in some way combine them in rules to your disciples can hire Bottle and Cappy, as a Wasteland legend or something like that. Also, the upcoming plastic core sets for the Brotherhood of Steel, Wasteland Raiders, Wasteland Survivors, and Super Mutants, and one which may have slipped under some people's radars, the Centaurs. The Centaurs are competitive. They are a legal part of your Super Mutant crew, and they are they're in Spooktober, I believe, aren't they? Which can be found and downloaded for free off the FalloutFactions.com/stuff website. So just at the Fallout Factions website, you can download those and add them into your Super Mutant crews. It's bizarre that you can do Centaurs before you actually have the ability to do the minis, but such is the way of the world we live in. Also competitive is the Companions release, which I believe has the amazing title of Companions version 1.1. It's a snappy title, and that's again also on the Fallout download site, where you can add any of these minis as a companion. There's rules for that. Make sure whoever is controlling the companion doesn't die, especially if you have a Deathclaw. That's all I'm saying. Regarding casual, it won't surprise anyone to know that Colter the Mothman and the Zetans are all becoming casual. They were currently Get You By, technically, weren't they?
PDF.
They were in a
They were in
strange
the rules
netherworld
packets.
already. Yeah.
That was part of the problem, is we suddenly had the monthly rules packets having factions content, the rulebook having factions content, and then Get You By lists, and it's suddenly too many things.
Yeah. And finally, for casual sets, the Get You By list for the Gunners, which Jamie mentioned already. That's like in a sort of a never land at the moment, but it's going to sit there until there is something to replace it. So it will for a long time be technically the only Get You By list. Also, again, in the Spooktober document was the rules for Wasteland Goliaths, which all are featured there, which was like, I believe that's how to get like almost a third player in playing like a kaiju-like creature, isn't it? So there we go. A few questions have come up. Well, it says, if we don't answer your question, please remember that we're going to do a proper Q&A at the end. So if we ignore you, it's just blindness. That's fine. Any kind of roadmap or schedule? Yes, at some point when we know and we can share, we will. The questions about how it works with Wasteland Warfare, remind me again at the end, and we'll ask that in the Q&A, and then we'll go from there. So that's your brief summary. Hope you've all got screenshotting. Now for the fun part, where we get to show you something. Coming soon for Fallout Factions is the rulebook. The snappily titled rulebook. That's what it's going to look like. Do we want to say what's in it? I mean, there's been a lot of hints, and we've kind of said some things that are in it, but Jamie, do you want to jump on this and say what is in this book?
Yeah, I can touch on a little bit, then I'll hand over to Evie to go a bit more in depth on the dev side. But within this rulebook, it's the main core factions are Brotherhood of Steel, Super Mutants, Wasteland Survivors, and Wasteland Raiders, along with sort of a company campaign and the general rules for the game in there. So it allows people to play the 4 sort of core factions everyone's been chasing us for. And yeah, it's giving people access to the factions and taking on board some of the feedback we've had and improving them based on the Get You Buys.
So this is not simply a collection of the Get You Buys. This is these are improved. Cool.
Yeah, this is.
Sorry. Sorry, I asked you a question, then I just said don't answer that. Sorry, I'm not. What did you want to say, Jerry?
Well, yeah. So to pick up on that, some of the 4 lists in this book are quite similar to the Get You By lists, but a couple of them are quite different. As we were developing these, the Get You By lists were out quite an early stage in the development of these core lists, and there was considerable play testing and additional development done after that point. The rest of the book isn't just a reprint of what's in Nuka World, though. It contains the same core rule system, and that's one thing that I do want to really hammer home, that this isn't a different game. This is the same rules that you've been playing. However, there's a lot of additional content in here. In particular, the campaign is very different, and that's one of the big changes in this book. In Nuka World, the campaign system is set up obviously to play specifically in that setting, and it is set up to play in a way that means that you can play with whoever you want to without a fixed group. So you can sort of drop in and out of a local game store or whatever and play games with people and continue to add to your experiences. That's not quite how this one is going to work. This campaign is designed for a more consistent group, either based in a kind of a local hobby store or another sort of club, or just in a group of friends. But you will all join the campaign and create a shared wasteland together that you will then contest. And there is a whole new campaign system in here. There is a whole new way of doing scenarios. This isn't just a new set of scenarios. This is actually a modular scenario creation system, effectively, with objectives and hazards that can be brought in depending on the kind of thing you're attempting to undertake in the campaign at the time. It is a very expensive experience. It also includes additional models you can hire called Legends of the Wasteland, which Bottle and Cappy are an example of, but there are some others. I think we'll get more to that later.
We will.
So there's a huge amount of content in this book, and it is a step change, and this is really intended to be the kind of definitive rules text for Fallout Factions going forward.
Cool. Definitely. Now, little question: do we know who the cover art is? There's lots of people saying how nice it looks, and it is. There you go. James just answered it. Alexander Astor. One thing that's coming up, and I think Samantha, I expect you'll be able to say something to, is that at the same time as the Fallout Factions rulebook is out, there will be the pre-order mini coming with it, which is the King of the Park, and there it is, as you can see, painted. Is this one painted by Callum? Callum, are you in chat? Speak if you painted the King of the Park. But there it is, and that is a pre-order mini. So, do you want to say something about how that you did the heads? Well, that's partial credit. Well done. So, do you want to say something about this? How we're releasing it? What sort of like what the situation with the pre-order mini is, and all that stuff?
Yeah, I can blag it. So this is going to be a pre-order exclusive for a good long while. So if you pre-order this core rulebook for Fallout Factions, then you'll be receiving King of the Park as well. That means you'll need to pre-order it on Modiphius.net or Modiphius.us in order to be eligible for that. It's just the easiest way for us to be able to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
With the King of the Park, we wanted to, and I know John really wanted to try and kind of stretch our artistic license when it came to what we were sculpting. So we've done a lot of very, very faithful character packs and sculpts that are very true to what you see in the video games. But we wanted to kind of give a little twist on something and say, well, this might be you. This might be how you characterize and kit yourself out if you were king of Nuka World.
Yeah, when caps are no limit, then this is the kind of the design and style choices that people make.
You want a very colourful fat man and
exactly.
to hang on to. So this was a really cool sculpt that John and the team came up with just to kind of celebrate that and really for it to be a promo model for us.
Yeah.
And so that artistic license, I wanted to also expand upon a little bit because I saw in chat as well someone asking the background of this cover looking very much like, maybe Chicago or the Pit or something. Does that mean we're moving away from the Commonwealth or moving away from what we've seen before? And I've got to be real with you. Unfortunately, no, it doesn't. We, as a licensor, do not exist in that kind of space where we have the authority to go to some completely new place in the time or place of the Fallout canon. We just don't. That's Bethesda's job. And so this very much is about the kind of core factions that you would see in something like Fallout 4 or Fallout 3. It covers the main 4, as Jamie said, covers the core rules for you. But that doesn't stop you saying you're in Chicago or saying you're in Springfield, USA, or wherever.
Just like you can paint your minis however you want. We don't tell you how to have fun. We just provide a set of rules and a set of tools. And if you want to twist it and bend it, I know you wargamers don't like changing the rules, but you can if you want. It's fine.
Yeah. Like, I understand. I know that you're desperate for a new piece of Fallout, a new piece of America to explore. So am I as a Fallout fan, but we can't do that for you. We have to wait for Bethesda.
Yeah. They would get crotchety. Rightly
Very.
so. Very crotchety is the correct business term as well for that. So yeah, those are question, will this be available to non-factions players? I mean, presumably you mean will there be stats and stuff for it? I don't know if we can or want to answer that.
It's a pre-order exclusive for pre-ordering the rulebook.
Yep. So there you go.
That's what you can get.
Exclusive is the key word there. So what we will do now is to move on to something that Jamie mentioned. It's in the Fallout Factions rulebook. Legends of the Wasteland. Now, there are some... have we said it has multiple head options? Yes, Callum. I think you did. And you know who painted them? Callum. He painted the heads. Did a very good job as well. I'm sorry, mate. I'm being a arse. Yes, it has multiple head options. The Fallout Factions Legends of the Wasteland. If you have cracked open a box of the Hollywood Heroes, or you are lucky enough to have obtained yourself a bottle and cappy, all fizzed up, you can say that's fine. You will have discovered that some of them are referred to as Wasteland Wanderers or Legends of the Wasteland and things like that. They are characters that represent the named special characters who you wouldn't be right to have on your crew as a permanent member. But the Wasteland is a big place, and caps can persuade most people to do things. So if you want to hire someone, if you want to hire the Ghoul, or you want to hire Maximus or Lucy or CX44, or even somehow hiring Bottle and Cappy, we won't go into the details of how that works, then you can. The Factions rulebook will be bringing in 10 of these things. And we're going to tell you what they are. So you will be able to hire for your team the King of the Park, as we've just seen, Bottle and Cappy, all fizzed up, which would be a reprint of those rules, so you'll be able to add those in, as well as Red Eye, Mason, Mags Black, Nisha, Overboss Colter, Nick Valentine, Paladin Dance, and Fist. So they will all be recruitable legends who can be persuaded to join your team for a transactional cost of caps. This might be a good time to talk about the Legends of the Wasteland or Wasteland Wanderers. No, Wasteland Wanderer means there's only one of them in your crew, doesn't it? I'm learning. Whereas Legends of the Wasteland is what we're talking about now. Forget I said that previously. So yeah, maybe it's a good idea to chat a little bit now about the Legends of the Wasteland and sort of what we wanted to achieve with this, and any thoughts about it, where we think it's at, where we think it's going. Who would like to do that? Evie, I'm going to pick on you because you look like you're ready to give us the juice.
Yeah, I can talk about this. So obviously the focus of Fallout Factions is on those crews, the people who stay together, stick together, and continue on in the Wasteland. But there is such a rich tapestry of other things going on in the Fallout universe. And we're really keen to make sure that everything that is suitable to be represented in Fallout Factions is represented. And Legends of the Wasteland is one of the ways that we can do that. We also have the companions from the companion supplement, which is another way that we can bring some of those kind of models in. But this is the way that we're going to bring named characters in to Fallout Factions going forward.
Yeah.
the nice thing about these is that, as you mentioned, Steve, they're mostly around just for one game or so. So they don't often end up crashing around with you on a campaign for very long. But one thing I am going to contradict you on is sometimes they can actually end up joining your crew in the new rulebook. So it is unusual and it is unlikely, but given the right combination of circumstances, you can permanently recruit a Legend of the Wastelands to join your crew and take it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a really cool addition, and we also mentioned Wasteland Wanderers and Legends of the Wasteland, so I think it's worth just clearing up some potential confusion around that, if that's all right. Which is
I was clearly
when
confused.
we
So
were
let's do it.
introducing these kind of when we were introducing these kind of characters to begin with, we used the term Wasteland Wanderers, and there was a number of reasons that are mostly kind of boring behind the scenes why we decided that we should move to calling them Legends of the Wasteland. The primary reason is that Wasteland Wanderers were written very explicitly for the Nuka World campaign and setting, and when we wanted to move to the new rulebook, we wanted to make sure there wasn't any confusion between the old rules for that and the way they're presented in this rulebook. So Legends of the Wasteland is what we'll be calling them going forwards, and all the rules on how to include them and any others that you can find in other publications will be in that new rulebook.
Cool. Does anyone else have anything to say about Legends of the Wasteland, or shall we press on to something quite nice and interesting and exciting?
You can't have Nisha, she's mine. That's all I'm going to say.
Literally bust the box out this afternoon.
I have, and I want her in my Disciples crew.
Okay, there will be blood over this one. So Hollywood Heroes will still be playable. Yes, they will be. They will be indeed. All Folio usable in Wasteland Warfare, I guess. Most of these already have rules for Wasteland Warfare. Yeah. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, the only one on this list that we think doesn't is King of the Park. And given the fact that there's a lot of Wasteland Warfare stuff that you can't use in factions, let factions players have one thing. They're allowed that one mini. No worries. That's cool. Nice to have you here, Jono. But Bottle and Cappy don't have full Wasteland Warfare, don't they? All right, 2 things. The list just grows. Look at us being generous.
We can have 2 things.
2 things. It'll be 3 by the end of this stream.
The 2 pre-order exclusive for the rulebooks don't have Wasteland Warfare rules. That's
Who
fine.
knew? Who knew the connection? So rather than just like leave it at that and tell you what they are, we thought you might like to have a sneak peek. So without further ado, here's the Legends of the Wasteland rules for Overboss Colter. Once again, ready that screenshot finger. I know it's ready to go. But yeah, we thought we'd just drop a little preview of this. So if you have this mini and you want to start bashing it into your game before the rulebook comes out, go for it. Have a little fun. See what you can come up with. There's some interesting new perks and things like that. Should we just have a little highlight about what Overboss Colter is good? Why you might want to recruit them to your crew?
Well, you've got eyes, haven't you, Steve? 7 strength, 7 endurance, 2 weapons with maim, fast.
That's also got these and small text on the screen is not my friend.
my claim of Nisha may be changing.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, obviously this guy is kitted out like a tank. Look at him. But also, let's talk about the perk Cheater. Evie, do you want to tell us a little bit about this and what you might be wanting to use this for?
Yeah, so one of the things that we get to do with Legends of the Wasteland is kind of express a little bit more flexibility in the rules that we write, because there's only ever going to be one of them knocking about. It means that we don't have to worry about the knock-on consequences of this, like hitting a whole crew or spreading to other models. And perks like this are unique to this model. So they're not going to be perks that you can purchase in an ongoing campaign. So cheater is a thing that only Colter has. Some of these perks might crop up on multiple Legends of the Wasteland in the future, potentially, but they are not going to be widely available. So it means that we can really give individual models like a particular flair of their own. And for Colter, that means that he kind of gets to break some of the core rules of factions.
Already you're breaking the rules.
Absolutely. But he is a cheater, so that's only suitable. And in this case, he can do you can do the actions that you normally can't do when you're engaged, even if he is engaged. And that is actually a remarkably powerful ability, partly because he can just walk out of combat without any issues at all. But also because you may notice he's got that serious, powerful combat rifle there. And whilst you may be looking at it going, well, surely if he's engaged, he's going to want to use his melee weapon. Remember that he's not obliged to shoot at the person that he's engaged with. Open fire lets him pick someone else, so he can be a very flexible piece on the tabletop.
It's just this great image of like this of Colter just standing there and loads of like kind of pack members just like flailing at his knees, he's like picking off at a distance or something. It's fantastic. As it's been pointed out in chat, he is not the luckiest boy in the world, but hey, you got to have something. But yeah. So that's like a little sneak peek, and there are 9 others which we've just told you about. Obviously, you know the rules, or you can find the rules for Bottle and Cappy because they are on the Wasteland or the Fallout Factions website. If you want to have a look at them and just be nosy to see what else the kind of things there are, but those are good examples, and there'll be 8 more just like them in the core rulebook, which is coming soon. Power armor perk, new version of Hardy ? Maybe. Do you want to talk about that now?
So
Later. Let's talk about it now.
We can talk about that now. That's absolutely fine. So power armor is just an easy shorthand way of us describing all the perks that you would normally get for having power armor. Up until this point, every model that has power armor has a set 3 perks. And rather than us splitting 3 perks onto every single model, there is now a power armor perk that just says that gives you the benefits of all 3 of those other perks. It's that simple.
Think of the ink we save just by doing that. So moving on, the next thing after the Fallout Factions rulebook we're going to show you are the tokens and terrain pack. Now, this is well, Jamie, you might even have a set there. Do you want to tell us what these are and maybe even show us?
I put it away because it was in the way.
So this is. You literally knew we were doing this.
I have a messy office. I tidied
It's fine.
up for
It's
once.
fine.
I want it to look nice for the crowd.
It's okay. It's okay.
So this is the essentially we looked at it, and the token and terrains that you would get in the new starter box we wanted to make available to players outside of that box, so that they could have the the Fallout Factions tokens to play with, and then some cool cardboard terrain to build with as well, and nice little pack to make it nice and accessible, easy to get.
Cool. Yeah. Because obviously with the rulebook coming along, you know, the starter set might not be your point of first contact with the game. So that's pretty simple. Does what it says. That's a copyright phrase. I can't really say that. Also, dice sets. Have you put these away as well?
No, they're in a bag. I'm just gonna have to hold them on the screen. I have no proper renders. So for reference, we had the.
In that case, I'll make you full screen and.
Oh, no one needs to see this. Let me. So I can reveal where my camera's
yours full screen.
So,
yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, these are our survivor dice that are. It's going to go out of focus. So standard and luck.
You've got to put your hands behind it. Have you not watched makeup tutorials on YouTube? Come on.
You got to do the classic YouTuber
with this face. Yeah. Okay.
Thing. Yeah.
So let me grab the other ones and then I'll show the rest quickly. So next one is we have Super Mutant, which is the hand is somewhere on there, and then their luck dice as well is the important one, which I plan to spare. Is
I like this.
Super
This is
Mutant with-
lo-fi.
This is lo-fi. This is where I find my camera wants to focus. There we go. And it immediately goes out of focus. That's great. Brotherhood. Huh?
He looked like the Hulk.
It does a little. And then Brotherhood of
That's
Steel
small super
is.
mutants.
Come on. There we go. Is the radioactive symbol on there? That's not going to focus. That's really helpful. And then a nice.
We will put a pic. Maybe Jamie can
proper
take a picture
photos.
of these and bung it
Yeah.
on Discord or something.
And then Gunmetal, Brotherhood of Steel. That is so not going to focus. Come on, camera. There'll be better photos. And I'll reveal the rest on the Discord after because it saves me showing 5 more dice.
Yay! Exactly. But there we go. So that is kind of just a little look see there.
Preview.
So a nice blurry.
It's 4 dice sets, isn't it? It's a dice set for each
Yeah.
of the plastic sets coming out.
Yes, the
Yes.
standard and luck for each of the factions. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. Sin people in chat, including Wood, talking about possibility of acrylic tokens and stuff. It's like they're card at the moment. What the future holds, maybe, but you know, if as with all these things, if there's interest in it, we love nice things, but you know, we can't promise anything.
I'll also say card means I can keep the price point well down for everyone, which is always a benefit.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, so miniatures. We've covered these in detail on our or more detail in our miniatures reveal stream for Wave 10. Both of them, in which you can look through those, and it's all timestamped. So if you want to have a look at the Brotherhood of Steel, Super Mutants, Wasteland Survivors, or Wasteland Raiders, those are the plastic core sets. They will be coming soon as well. And he checks his notes to make sure he doesn't scroll too far. No, there's 2 more coming soon things. The next, so with these, there will also be more rules coming for stuff that you've seen in the Wave 10 releases, including new companions, and there will be another Spooktober coming later in the year with presumably more Gribblies. But, you know, these will be surprises for when they come, so we're not going to tell you what these are just yet.
Yeah, and there's been some questions around like support between Wasteland Warfare and Fallout factions. Our intention on the whole is that models that we're going to release can be used by and large by both games. As you've seen already from some of the Wave 10 releases that we've done, so including a Cult of the Mothman crew, if you want that as a casual list for Fallout factions, that's available to you and stuff like that. So these core plastic sets, while they serve to like update our offer for Wasteland Warfare, they're also going to be a key part of Fallout factions.
Grease Monkey, we'll get around to that one at the end. That's a really good question, and thank you very much. So Wave 11 will be coming next. And I know we've barely started the second half of Wave 10. Wave 10 was like a giga wave, so you know it took almost an entire year to get through all of the releases on that. Wave 11, we will be doing a reveal stream when it's time, so make sure you follow or subscribe or all that social jazz. But what we will tell you about Wave 11 is that when it comes, it will include 2 new casual crews for Fallout factions, and there'll be a reveal stream, like I just said. So that's it. That's the sneak on that one. Finally, a little taste, because people have worked out that we will inevitably do it, because that's, you know, how these things work, that inevitably there will be a kind of a folio book of some kind which will collect things that you may have seen originally on the website or in other places, and collect things and bring in new things, because the next time we do a book it won't need to be the rule book, because the rule book will all be out. So, you know, there will be things like that. We're not really going to say much about what's in that or going to be in that yet, because, you know, got to have something kept back. Secrets just for us to make us feel special. But there we go. Rules changes. So this is one of the reasons we wanted to do this stream as well, was just to make sure that when we update stuff, there's a one-stop shop. Like, if you want to check what the latest one of these is, it should give you the most up-to-date information about these things and things that you may have missed. So we're going to start with our first actual balance change. Evie, do you want to tell us what we've done here and why we did it?
Sure. So the main thing that really changed here was every model in the pack gained the sprint perk, which gives them 2 inches of extra movement on a get moving action. That was done really because as we move into having more competitive lists and generally more lists, we're trying to make sure that every crew has a niche to operate in. And with some really big burly individuals on the horizon, the original kind of concept niche for the pack of being aggressive close range brawlers is slightly being eclipsed by some other sort of large green and grey individuals. As such, we wanted to make sure that people who play the pack continue to have a unique and interesting experience. We also are very aware that in the starter set, the Nucor starter set, the pack and the operators are a common matchup for new players, and the operators often have something of an edge over the pack with their rather combat rifle heavy loadout. As such, we wanted to give the pack something a little bit extra, but without really tilting things too hard in their direction. And what we came up with was this change to their mobility. And all it does is just make them a little bit more mobile, a little bit easier for them to get into range to use the store mobility on their weapons, and a little bit easier for them to grab objectives. And we think that this is
familiar. Sorry to interrupt. If people aren't familiar, sprint. What does sprint do again?
Adds 2 inches to movement for get moving.
So it's up to 10, basically, isn't it? It's what your movement comes.
Right, yeah.
Cool.
So they become very quick, very nimble, very quick, and it makes them very aggressive, but not in the same way that other crews are aggressive. We think that it was the best choice going forwards. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on it. They are one of our competitive crews, and so we will be dedicating a lot of time and effort to making sure that they and the other competitive crews stay balanced with each other and all have interesting, unique play experiences.
Cool. Also, the pack top dog has an increase in their endurance. They were 4, they're now 5, presumably just to beef them up a bit so when they get close in with that extra movement.
Yeah, that's right. Ultimately, a lot of the weapons available to the pack are very close range if you want to do any serious damage. And so they had something of a survival problem of getting in place to use it. And one way we've helped with that is with sprint, and the other way we've helped is just giving sort of the more elite a little bit of a buff in order to make sure that they survive entry, as it were.
Yeah, exactly. Mocker's Dispatch asks in chat, does that therefore affect hurry up so they can run 14 inches on that?
It does indeed, yeah. They can be extremely quick across the battlefield with this change. But of course, you have to be sure that you're going to do something at the other end, so use it wisely.
Exactly. So there, no, you're welcome. No worries. There are otherwise, this is the only like kind of real rules change we've got. This is summarized from our Errata documents. So you, again, if you've seen those, you know these already. But when there are little things being released all over the place in different places or in different products, we want to make sure that there's one place where you can go, Got it. And like acts as a reference. That is therefore the main rule change. There are in that errata a couple of other things which are down to heavens forbid to say it, some little errata, some little typos that we just wanted to highlight, because if you've not noticed them, these will change your stats. Namely that in some places, disciples, wasters, PECI and A stats should read 3. They don't, and the wasters should have an L stat of 1. So just, make sure you do that. As someone who got halfway through building his team of disciples and was like, hang on, are these guys completely rubs? No, they're not. They're just unfortunate when it comes to numbers. Counting.
Gotta find my list now. Where is it? Hang on.
Exactly, get correcting. Yeah, disciples, they're big on, the only time they would update their list is if it's written on the skin of their former enemies. So, also, missile launcher, if you've been dining out on that with an impact of 6S, it is actually meant to be 5S. Sorry about that. And cap collector perk should only allow you to hoover up rare chems, not simple chems. So no, just scuffing up all the psycho and buff out with that. Finally, this is more like a kind of an advanced notice and something we've touched on with regards to, get your buy lists becoming different as they become full competitive lists in the rulebook. But Brotherhood of Steel you're going to see those caps costs go up. We're not going to tell you what they are yet, but they're in the core rulebook. Literally, Samantha is literally buffing her squad right now.
I had it on my sheet. I don't know why. Maybe I checked. Maybe I checked the errata. I don't remember.
It's fine. Yeah. But yeah, so let's talk about the Brotherhood of Steel and their cap cost and why there's going to be an increase from what you've sort of seen in the Get Your Buy lists to what you're going to see in the rulebook. Jamie, do you want to talk about that, or I'll let whoever wants to dive in?
I'm going to hand this straight over to Evie.
I thought you might.
Evie explained this to me the other day, and I will just butcher it. So let's let the professional talk.
Go, Evie.
So the Brotherhood of Steel list is one of the ones that has changed, I think, least coming into the new rulebook. But we have made some changes. And one of the key changes we've made is increasing the cost of the power armored units somewhat. Now, the key reason we've done that is because we found that those units in particular have quite a dominant force on the tabletop. But also we found that where the caps costs were, let people pack out whole crews with just power armor models in a way that wasn't very fun to interact with. It wasn't necessarily that they were better in a sort of objective grabbing sense, but rather that they were kind of miserable and uninteractive to play with if you were just facing an entire wall of steel. So
that's not an objective you want to set as like a goal for a game, is it? It's like miserable. Let's tick that one off.
No, exactly. So luckily, because they were only Get Your Buy lists and therefore like early development stuff, we had lots of time to fix this, and that's the thing that has really been fixed for them for the new rulebook. And that means that you'll find that those power armor units are slightly more expensive. But they not like huge amounts, but just enough to tweak it so that you're encouraged to bring a couple of power armored knights and a selection of other units as well. The other kind of flip side of this is that we really do want all of these factions to reflect the lore as much as possible. And Brotherhood of Steel, obviously, the knights are the face of the faction, but a mix of sort of power armored and non-power armored individuals is what you see in the games, and we really want to see that on the tabletop as well. We also have this feeling that, like, as we go forwards, we'd rather make sure that the knights really do feel elite on the table, and that's reflected in their caps costs. And it means that if we make this change and then in 6 months' time we go, hey, the knights aren't performing as well as we expected, actually it turns out people have got these cunning tricks that mean in a tournament environment they're getting a bit of a beatdown. We'd rather make the knights better than make them cheaper.
Yeah.
Because we think that's more in line with the flavour of the crew in the source material.
Yeah. It's it'd be interesting as well, because obviously a lot of it also comes from the fact that, you said, they were the get you by lists and everything like that. Getting a lot of this knowledge from and feedback from looking at people's battle reports that they've put on Discord, as well as just some general comments. War Games News Radio, I know you're here. You had a game against some Brotherhood, and I won't spoil it for people who haven't watched that yet. You should check it out on Play on Tabletop. What did you think about that? Did you feel like you were, overwhelmed by a very good value force? It's like, these sort of things are great. So if you are interested in, this game getting as balanced as possible, come join us on the Discord, because you can literally chat to Evie and the other devs there, which is, hello. You can literally, so you can get answers to those questions, and it's also that kind of thing which, your feedback will be actually really useful. It's that sort of thing that I think is really, really important for factions. So come and join us if you haven't. Did we want to say anything else about the Brotherhood and Caps Increase, or is that we're going to sort of leave that one? Bucketheads hit like a truck, can confirm. Yep, I watched both your games. You did well.
Just to be clear, for the question in chat, Paladins have gone up slightly in cost, as well as the Knights, yes. But both the power armored options have gone up in Caps.
Cool. And I think with that, we will we've reached the end of that particular part. So now, time to bash out your questions. If you have questions that you wish to ask that are about Fallout factions that Jamie, Evie, Samantha, or heaven forbid, I can answer, please do let us know in chat. We've got a bunch that came in from Discord already, so thank you very much to people who sent those in. I'll pick one to start, because I think it's it's my job and I'm allowed to. We're gonna go for a nice easy one, because I can see there's an answer written for it already at the moment. Soulful Phoenix on Discord said, "Will there be faction vehicle rules and vehicle combat rules in factions?" No, is the answer. No, it's not that kind of game. No. It's a small scale skirmish game. No, so yeah, it's not. Just that's what it is.
It's not that kind of game.
It's just not that kind of game. But that doesn't. There are kind of like ploys and stuff which reflect those things, because if played against, I know Ryan had this the other day, and I've experienced it. When you're playing against the Brotherhood and one of them just goes, "Oh, my vertibird just drops me wherever I want on the battlefield," that stings. So there are ways to do vehicle-like things. Is there a penalty, or will there be a penalty for shooting into melee? Says Alpha Omega.
So what I can say about this is that I think this comes from the fact that in the original playtest version of the rules, not playtest version, my apologies, the quick start version of the rules, there was a penalty for shooting into melee that was dropped by the time Nuka World was released.
Yeah.
I think at the moment, we don't have any firm plans on this, but it's something we're very open to. There will actually be a blog post coming out in the next couple of months that I need to catch up with Jamie about getting out into the wild. That's going to give you a few new options of experimental rules you can use to represent some of that. And what we'd love is for people to try those and tell us what they think. And we're going to continue to do testing in the studio and see what we think the best solution is for this. It's one of those things where Fallout as a source material is often very messy, and shooting into combat is often very explosive and not necessarily difficult. And so having a flat penalty doesn't really feel flavorful in the right way. But equally, we recognise that there is some tension between how effective shooting can be versus how effective melee models can be.
Oliver really asks, when will the plastic boxes hit the shelves? Is there anything we can say about like vague upcoming dates for any of the stuff we've shown, or is it too early for us to do that, Jamie?
I'm gonna look at the brand manager and not say anything. I'm gonna look at the brand manager and not.
That's
say
fine.
anything.
If the answer is
yet.
It is when it is, but it's like, I think what we could also say is we've tried to present you with things in that are not a million miles away, but likewise, it's like if we have a date, we tell you, because we like that, because that means you can normally buy it or pre-order it or something.
I will just say this: it is real. They are coming. See, I have samples of things I'm not allowed to show for the 4.
Yep.
That we're looking for approvals and things, but
like we can talk a bit honestly about what is going on right now. We are going through the pre-production process, and what we want to do is give you the best models that we possibly can. And so that means when Jamie's got the samples there, if we see a little thing we want to correct, if we see a little problem with the tool or something like that, that's what we're working on right now. Those 4 sets we've talked about in this stream and previous, we're aiming to get those out this year.
Yep.
And all 4 of those are in current pre-production, but we don't have a firm, definite date for you, a shelf date right now. And I don't want to give you one, because quite frankly, if I tell you one now, you're going to hold me to account for that, and then you're just going to bitch and moan at me when it doesn't happen right on time. So what we've got in terms of a process, in terms of solicitation and pre-order and stuff like that, is that there'll be a 3-month window where we will solicit the product. You'll know it's coming, and that should be a more definite shelf date. But right now, it all depends on pre-production.
It's like all these things, isn't it? It's like whenever you go and see a band, or if you've ever been in a band and someone shouts to the audience, "Play that song," and you're like, "Oh yeah, I guess I will now. I wasn't going to." But it's like when people ask us, "Are you going to release this or do this?" It's like, we either can tell you or you can't, and if we can, boy, we will have told you. We won't wait for you to ask, because we really want to tell you. Trust me, there are cool things. There's always cool things, and that's the annoying thing. Ryan, will there be a way to update or carry over your current Get You Buy lists once the rulebook comes out?
Yeah, so if you're continuing to play your Nuka World campaign, then you should be able to transition Brotherhood of Steel and Super Mutants relatively seamlessly. You are probably going to run into more problems with the Wasteland Survivors and Wasteland Raid lists. Unfortunately, they have had more substantial changes, so it may be that you will need to do some ingenious jury rigging, but with the consensus of your opponents.
Yeah, exactly. Use your best judgment. With questions like, will we see the Enclave this year? More terrain options, playmat, scattered terrain. I refer you to the court's previous answer. We will tell you when we can, because we want to. Are Brotherhood of Steel keeping the vertebrate drop ploy?
They have a somewhat different ploy that achieves some of the same things.
Fair enough. That's as good as a tease. We don't need to say any more than that.
I really do I feel like I'm on a Senate committee or something.
It is, isn't it?
Very good answer. Very good answer.
If I've got Facebook on my Fallout factions, can it see where I am right now?
I think those YouTube are brilliant.
I'll jump in with one, Steve.
Go for it, because I'm scrolling, and good lord, there's a lot more than I thought there was going to be.
So there was one there earlier that we didn't have a slide ready for, and that's my fault, so Steve can blame me. We are looking and will be doing German, French, and Spanish translations of the Nuka World Starter Rulebook. And then from there, we will see the popularity of the sales before we can promise or look into anything further with regards to the main rulebook onwards. But we are looking at those 3 as the translations at the moment. As per our previous answers, I do not have an ETA.
When's pre-order opening for the rulebook? Refer previous answer. I demand that Modiphius develop teleportation technology to resolve all distribution issues. If we could, we would. Because let me tell you, teleportation can't be any more expensive than shipping containers. Otherwise,
I want to jump in with one as well.
go on then.
So all of the comments about the distribution problems that people are facing, the local retail stores and stuff like that, this isn't necessarily a silver bullet for you, but I do have a suggestion. I'm going to post a link into chat for you right here. So if you speak to your retail store and they are having a hard time getting restocks or getting even new releases and stuff like that from their distributors, Modifius does have a direct to retail program, which means it puts stores in touch with us directly and our consolidators in the United States. So our warehouses in the US and in the UK. And it means that they can order directly from us. So if you give them that link, so if you go to modifius.net/pages/wholesale store, then they will be able to sign up for our program, get in touch with Matt, our lovely sales manager, who will be able to furnish them with some cool minis. Like I said, it might not be a silver bullet, but if you're having trouble, if your retailer's having trouble getting stock, then I would urge them, I would beg you to get them to bug their distributor. Nothing does more favors for us, actually, than them bugging their retailer, bugging their distributor, again and again to say, I need this stuff, you need to get it for me, because actually it kind of leads to more sales for us.
Yep.
From the distributor, because they will assume then that other stores are looking for it as well. So yeah, I'm really sorry if you are facing that kind of issue, and you don't necessarily want to pay for shipping on .net or .us stores, then yeah, please do get your retailer to berate your distributor, because they might actually fix the problem.
Yeah. Evie, Jamie, are there any from the Discord sheet that you thought we would be good to answer?
So there was a question from Corinne on the Discord about James Hewitt's involvement in Fallout Factions, which is probably worth just touching on, because I know everyone was very excited that James was working on Factions when it launched, and obviously he was a huge part of the development of Factions. He was the lead designer on that stuff set. James has since left Modifius, but first of all, I think it's worth saying that even though James obviously was a kind of a front face on a lot of that development, it is a big team effort, and lots of the people who were working on that development are still in the team. And also, James is a long-time friend of mine, and we've worked together for many years. So I had a very thorough passing of the torch from him when I stepped into this role. So be assured that like his vision is not gone. And obviously I'm going to bring things of my own to the role, but I'm definitely considering the things that he's told me, he's talked to me about.
Exactly. But yeah, otherwise, Jamie, were there any ones that stood out to you?
There was the one about from a couple people on the Discord asking if there'll be a digital version of the rulebook available, and the answer will be yes, and we will make that available once pre-orders are up.
Amazing.
I'm not telling you the date yet.
No, we're not telling any dates at the moment. This is what it is. This is the never land we live in currently now. Otherwise, I mean, I will leave it to you guys. If there's any more on that list that you want to pick out, the ones we got from Discord, or if there are any more people who want to put any more in chat, that I think we might be coming to the end. I'm going to say that's the end then. Unless you're typing in chat right now. Right now, if you're typing, hit enter.
Just hit enter. Just halfway through a sentence.
Exactly. Thanks for being so open. That's not a question, but you're welcome.
I will refer back to Wood JH's question earlier about the more terrain options, playmat, scatter terrain and things, and we do have an extensive selection of terrain already existent based on the Wasteland Warfare stuff, along with STLs you can get, and there is a Fallout Factions playmat you can get through your local stores. It's not specifically through distributors, but it is through another reason to pester your local game store to go through us directly, because they can get those.
OG Zombie asks a good one coming at the last minute. Thank you, OG. If I pre-order the physical edition of the rulebook, will I have access to a PDF version when available?
Yes, Senator.
Yep.
Yes, yes, Senator. There you go. Sorry, it's fine. I missed the original pre-order. Can I still get all fizzed up mini?
I don't think so anymore.
Does it not go appear at cons or anything?
Maybe. At some point.
It might. I think it's one of the things. Like sometimes things do reappear. Don't count on it. You know, sometimes dead is better. No, well, that's a different reference. Sometimes things sometimes things are what they say, which is a limited time exclusive. More faction lists, please. Time will tell. You will get your more faction lists as they slowly arrive.
If I could just quickly jump in on that one, actually, I just want to say that we in the studio absolutely love this game, and obviously we want to be able to play as much with it as possible, and with as many crews as possible. We have thoughts on everything you can possibly think of, but it doesn't mean that it's the right time to do it. And we obviously can't say when we're going to be able to do these things, but trust us, if we get the chance and we're allowed to, we will make as many crew lists as we can.
As I was chatting to someone at a convention in December, and they said to me, they're like, "Oh man, wouldn't it have been great if like factions launched with like all the factions you can get in Wasteland Warfare?" And I was like, "We'd still be developing the game in 4 years. You know, it would not be out. You know, it's like
come out
so
in like 2028.
You got to pick somewhere to start, and you know, obviously there are reasons for choosing where we start and what we do, but like Evie said, very few things are off the list of things we would like to do. It's just like what makes sense to do next and what we want to do next, and you know, that's it really.
And they, you know, we obviously as fans as well want to do all of them as much as possible. What that really relies on is the success of the game, and what I mean by that is the number of people that pick up this starter set, the number of people that pick up the new crews. So, you know, I think it's safe to say that if you're in this chat, if you're watching this stream, then you're probably one of those people who goes to your local store or club and you get people to try the game out with you, and you start recruiting a small group of people to start playing like a campaign or something like that. So please do keep doing that. Please do keep encouraging people to pick up this game, to try it with you. I am strong arming my friends into playing factions with me. I still haven't done it yet, but they've got sets of miniatures, so I'm happy. So please keep on doing that, because
and
that
let us know
means
how
that
it
we'll
goes.
be able to. Yeah, and that means we'll be able to carry on the success, and therefore that means that we'll be able to bring out rules for your favorite faction.
Exactly. Jim Wolf, will there be an OP kit for stores?
Yes, Senator. Yes. Sorry, I'll stop the bit now.
It's fine. I'm still enjoying it, even if no one else is.
That's coming out very soon, isn't it, Jamie?
Yes. So it's in final tidy up and final bits and pieces with our team that do all the resin and bits and pieces to do the prize models and some extra cool little bits in there, and then it'll be going out to the warehouses soon, very soon, very, very soon. And then I would say, as Samantha has said before, speak to your LGS, get them to speak to us directly, and Matt and our sales guys will be very happy to sort something out there with getting an OP kit into people that want to support things.
Definitely. And I think with that seems like a reasonably good place to draw a line. The Senate is closed. No more further questions. Thank you very much. So thank you everyone for hanging out. It's been really nice to see you here and see, like I said earlier, it's a new little game, but it's really nice to see how many people are enjoying it. And come to our Discord and hang out there. There's some great sections there for just Fallout factions and all the other Fallout games as well. Share your battle reports and all that good jazz. I will now we'll let everyone say goodbye. I'll start. Thanks for coming, and I'll be back. When am I going to be back? 7th of Feb, Friday, the first Friday of the month. Me and Callum are one of our resident studio painters. We do a painting stream. We will be painting something huge and hairy with claws. and you'll have to tune in to find out what that is. It's Fallout related. But yeah, so we'll be doing that. So come and join us then. Jamie, what's your closing statement for the Senate?
Leave me alone, Alpha Omega, on the Discord. I've done 2 streams for you now at your request.
That's my feedback.
But no, as we said, any and all feedback, we do appreciate the community coming into the Discord and telling us what they think, especially with like things they think may be broken. We've got the devs there. I'm there panicking in the background if we say too much as well. So it's a fun place. So I encourage everyone to be there. We're really happy that people are active in there talking about their games in the battle reports.
Definitely, it's so cool. Evie, your last words, please.
Thank you all for your questions. If you have specific questions about the game, you can at me in Discord. I will generally reply to you, and I will do my best to answer your questions. And also, come and post your battle reports in the Discord, please. It's invaluable for us in the studio to see what other people are doing.
Yeah, it's just really good fun as well, because there's almost always like a bit where someone will go like, and then this happened and it changed everything. And it's like, I just love reading them. They're so good. Samantha.
I just want to say again, keep encouraging your friends to play, keep encouraging your stores to stock it. That means that the continued success of the game and bringing out all the stuff that you want to see in future.
Definitely. Cool. All right then. Well, with that, we will bid you all adieu. Thank you for hanging out, and we will see you again very, very soon. Have a great weekend, whatever you get up to. Speak soon. Bye.
Thanks very much. Bye. See you later.